One of the things that we have to do here in school and college, actually even adults beyond their college years have to take tests. How many of you get nervous when you have to take a test? Wow, that's a lot of you. Okay. There is such thing as test anxiety. What if I told you that I could share with you or give you information, if you desire to know, some strategies where you can master taking tests? Would you like that? Okay. Let me turn this on. But we all have to take tests. And today we are taking more tests than ever. There are 4 parts to this. I'm going over part 1. So understanding that there's just a process, and all you have to do is learn the process for taking tests. That's all you have to do. Learn the process. And then you're going to be a master at taking tests. I'm going to go over part 1, which is preparing for tests, creating good review tools, practicing test questions, and getting ready for the test. Part 2 is another section, using test strategies and general rules for tests, checking over the test, post-test review, and test etiquette. Part 3 is critical thinking, and part 4 will be going over or learning how to master these skills to educated guessing strategies. All right. What all of you need to know about taking tests. More tests are required from you today than ever in the past. So you will learn strategies for preparing for these tests, handling different types of tests, and developing your skills as a test taker. Preparing for tests. The first rule of successful test taking is attend every class. Attend every class. Okay, well, you got to be in class. That means on time, staying to the end, and being fully present, paying full attention during class. When you do that, you're hearing it firsthand. You cannot get this information secondhand. You cannot get the correct and all the information that if you miss out in class, you cannot get it from a friend, somebody else's notes, or even the instructor, because you weren't there. You might have missed something. You got to hear the instructor's comments about tests and knowing what's expected of you. Preparing for tests. Start preparing early. That doesn't mean like early in the day. It means from the first day of class is when you start preparing for tests. The very first day. The first material you read. That's when you start. You review notes every single day. When you come in 5 minutes to class early, you are reviewing notes from the last class. And then at the end of the class, you sit for just a moment and you review just what was in class, or you go to your study block time, and then there is where you review your notes. But you need to review notes every day. And by the way, when you do this, when you actually sit down to study for your test, it's going to be a breeze because you have reviewed all along since the first day of class. Look for test question clues in notes, quizzes that you take in class, text, homework assignments. Do any of those look like they could be test questions? Could they be made into possible test questions? Titles, subheadings. Plan a consistent study schedule is one way to prepare for a test. How do you do that? Well, you keep a daily and weekly study schedule of your daily, weekly, and major review sessions. If you're keeping that consistent study schedule every single week, 3 or 4 times a week, you're going to be okay because then you have that time to do it. Study with a purpose. When you're preparing for a test, know what you need to study. And at the beginning, at the get-go, you say, okay, this is my purpose for studying today. I need to learn these goals. Eliminate distractions in designated study area with tools and materials you need with you. So you don't have to go get up and go find them. Take everything with you at your study place where there's no distractions. Again, I'm going to emphasize this over and over. You study in 1 to 2 hour blocks of time with short breaks, every 20 minutes or so. A short break would be 5 to 10 minutes to get up and move around and be active. And that's what active is about. Study actively. Move around, stretch. Sometimes you can read or review notes while you're walking. When I'm learning a script for a show, one of my most effective study methods, the way I do it, it helps me a lot. I've read it, I've gone over it, but then I go for a walk down the Greenway or somewhere, and I go over that script while I'm walking. Now somebody might might pass me and think, oh, she's crazy, she's talking to herself. But that's what I do. I'm actively moving and I'm studying my script, and by the time I'm on set, I know it well. Participate in study groups. There's times when you can get together with a partner study group, study together, because the more minds together that might think of something else, or help you with something that you don't understand. Preparing for tests. Ask your instructor what to expect. You want to know what's on the test? Ask. What do we need to learn? What material is it going to cover? What type of questions will be on the test? Is it a multiple choice? All this is very important to ask of your instructor. Is it true, false? Is it fill in the blanks? Is it essay? You need to know what kind of questions are in the test, because there's different strategies to study to master these different kinds of questions. There's tricks, so to speak. What should you concentrate on? Know what's going to be on the test. Creating good review tools. Number 1, you want to take good notes. During lecture, during class, during videos, you want to be able to take good notes. So we're going to talk about more of that. Record them, create mind maps, collect related materials, make a study checklist, use of index cards perhaps, and chapter outlines. Let's talk about taking good notes. When you're taking notes in class, as most of you are going to do with every single class that you take, leave in spaces or a room so that you can go back and fill in missing information later, or something you didn't get written down at the time. Because when you're taking notes in class, it wears you out almost, writing all the time. And you're going fast, you're trying to be neat, but leave spaces so you can go back and fill in the blanks. Review your notes. When should you review your notes? When? Yes, immediately. As soon after class as possible. Why? Because it's still up here. It's still fresh. You'll remember it better. And then continue to review those notes. Remember, they're just notes. It's not going back and reading the whole material again. You're just reviewing your notes on a daily and weekly basis. And definitely before the test. Record your notes. Now, many instructors, and now in today's time, they don't allow this as much unless you have an exception rule where you specifically as an individual for some reason are allowed to record. This is something you should ask your specific professor if you are allowed to do it. I will tell you, this is not as effective. It is another tool, and it may work for you, but many times what happens is no one ever goes back and listens to the entire lecture again. It just doesn't happen very much. But it's another tool to have. Sometimes in certain lectures, there's no way you can listen attentively and take notes, or it goes so fast that you can't do note-taking and listening very well at the same time. So you could record the lecture. Sometimes you even can take photos of a slide. Okay. But that is something you would need to know or ask permission first. Later you can listen and write notes in your notebook. This is an example of a mind map or a concept web, whatever you want to call it. A flow chart, diagrams, create those. They help systemize or organize your notes, and it's a visual item. These are very effective. Here you would put like a main topic in the center, like in the box here. So there would be like test taking would go in the middle. Trying to see. No, let's go back. Okay. And then your subtopics or supporting details would branch off from it. Okay. Collect related materials. Keep a file of information related to that course. If you come across other material in a magazine, article, they just provide different resources or sources. Maybe you have to write or an essay or a paper on a topic. Just keep a file of other resources that you can use that go along with that topic. You can get them from internet, newspapers, magazines, other textbooks, wherever you can find it. Make a study checklist. So when you are preparing for a test, you know what you're going to have to study, so make a quick checklist so that you can organize your study time to benefit you and to cover all necessary items that are going to be on that test. Create a simple checklist. Here's an example. The exam is on chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then here's a list of things that I would need to study for that. Index cards. How many of you used index cards to study in the past? It's a great review tool. Easy to carry. You don't have to get out all your books and all your materials. You can carry them in your pocket. They're real easy to carry around. And how you would use index cards is you would focus on very specific details. Maybe a word, a main topic or word would be on the front of an index card. On the back would be the description or the answer to the question or the definition of the meaning. More detail on the back so you could review, flip it over and review. Quick, they're small, they're easy to carry, and they help aid in memorization. If you have to memorize a lot of facts, that's a great tool. Chapter outlines is another method to prepare for tests. You outline the chapter as you read it, or perhaps create a concept map, but this is a different way. Identify the main points, definitions of terms, and other important information in that chapter or section, and you put it in your notes. The benefit here is using both of your visual eyes as you're reading it and kinesthetic. You're actually moving or writing it down at the same time, so two different channels of learning are going on in the brain. Predicting test questions. Well, if I said you can predict the questions that are going to be on there, so you're going to know what to study and then ace the test, you're going to think like the instructor. Think like the instructor, not the student. So put yourself in the instructor's shoes. What do you think the instructor wants to test you on to make sure you know? Make sure you understand. Get your questions from the text, the lectures, the handouts, the materials you were given, the videos you watched. All of that, can be. You can derive your questions from that. It can be used. Sometimes if you look online websites, different websites, they'll have the same material and they'll give little practice quizzes or tests. Here's clues to possible test questions. The teacher keeps repeating something. That's a big clue. or they emphasize over and over certain points, and they want to make sure you hear it, make sure you get it. During discussion, if a question is asked by a student, and the teacher really gets into that or goes into detail, that could be a test question. Questions asked by the instructor to the students. They want you to think about it. That's a good clue that it might be a test question. Anything that the instructor writes, shows you, visual pictures, anything that shows that, hey, this is important, you better get it, it's probably going to be on the test. Questions from assignments or quizzes, questions from the text or on sample tests. Getting ready for the test. What do you do the day before? Yeah, you prep yourself for 24 hours before. Follow your very normal study routine. Don't try to cram. If you've been doing it all along, your study routine, you're okay. There's no reason to, I'm going to cram and study 4 hours for this history exam. Why would you do that? That's going to wear you out and wear you down. Avoid conflicts, and we're talking personal conflicts and emotional upsets. Some things happen. Sometimes they happen in your personal life, but as much as you can, avoid conflicts and emotional upsets. Yeah, get some physical exercise or do some physical activity that will take your mind off the test. Get a good night's rest. That goes without saying. It should be your consistent sleep routine anyway. Just review your notes and refuse to worry. Don't get anxious. I asked you earlier, how many of you get anxious or nervous about taking a test? Just refuse to do that. Say, I'm okay. I have prepared the best I can. I'm going to go do the best I can. On the day of the test, you want to exercise, and I don't mean go to the gym and do a major workout. I'm saying taking just a quick walk, 10, 20-minute walk. Just a little bit of movement. Make sure that you're in your consistent routine. You come on time, a little early, if possible, and you're already prepared. You have everything you need. Eat an apple. They say that certain foods benefit you. So eat an apple 1/2 hour before the test. Try it. Avoid others who may be anxious or nervous about the test. Don't hang out with them. Stay away from them that day, If they're all nerves about a major test coming up, their midterm, they know this is going to break them or, is it a make or break it. Just be calm, stay calm, because you don't want their emotions rubbing off on you. And keep your mind clear, uncluttered. Select a seat near the front, which you should anyway, right? That's a tip. You should be near the front and center anyway. Do a pre-test review of concepts, formulas, and key points. Now, how early should you be in class? Yes, 5 to 10 minutes anyway. So you've got a little bit of time to, once again, go over what's going to be on there, your notes. Get your body comfortable. Don't choose that day to wear them tight clothes. And, you just want to be loose and comfortable, able to breathe easily, not be, not having to sit and fidget because something doesn't feel right. Learn how to alleviate stress and perform well by doing relaxation or breathing techniques, visualizing you doing well, muscle relaxation, learn how to loosen up, positive self-talk or affirmations with that growth mindset we talked about, not having that negative attitude. Don't say, well, I can't do this, I'm not going to do well. Just say the opposite. If you know brain exercises or brain gym, that's okay too. And, be drinking water. What do you do now when you have the test in hand? Quickly do a memory dump of formulas, acronyms, whatever on the paper. As quick as you can. Get it out of here and onto the paper. It's really helpful in math formulas and things like that. Because now that you have the test, you're allowed to do it, right? Or if you use scratch paper, do it there. Preview the test, that means look over it. Kind of like a pre-reading strategy when you look over and analyze what you got to read. Same thing with the test. You preview the test. Okay, it's this long, have this many questions, so you're looking over the entire thing first quickly. You either listen to the instructor going over the directions and then read the test directions carefully and budget your time. If it's a limited time test, I've got, 30 minutes and I've got 10 questions, how much time per question, something like that. Read each question and answer choices carefully, especially answer choices. It's not that tests are there to trick you up. You just got to make sure you're reading carefully. Know or underline keywords and terms. And yes, skip ones you don't know so that you're not wasting your time, bogged down, and getting frustrated. Move on to what you do know, then come back to it. Make sure you come back to it. Don't leave it blank. That would be a no-no. Go back, fill every question in, but skip the ones that are really hard for you at first. Okay? So, quick summary. In review, this part 1 we covered preparing for tests, creating good review tools that you can use to prepare for the test, predicting those test questions, where you think like an instructor, where you get your questions from, and getting ready for the test. Now think about how this could benefit you your entire college path, right? To be successful. I'm trying to help you be successful, be what where you want to be at the end of your college journey. These are definitely tools that you can use.